Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine with another album review, and this time looking at two albums, and it is, again, an extension to two new arrivals to the Slade Splatter vinyl campaign by BMG Records, which I've covered everything so far on this channel, and this video will be linked to the playlist, so if you watch this and you want to watch the other reviews of all the other Slade albums that have been out on this series, they're all included. So this video is going to look at this one, Ambrose Slade Beginnings and Slave Live at Reading. So let's start with Ambrose Slade. I have this on CD and I've never owned it on vinyl. And as it's on Splatter vinyl, it's so important that I show you its glory. There it is. A beautiful looking thing it is as well. And I love this. Why wouldn't I? I've got it on CD, as I said. I think it's a double CD with the second album plate laid on. But playing it on vinyl, I have to say, it's a great pressing. The album's from 1969. It has hints of coming from where it's from. But it's a great recording, and it also gives you an insight into how the band's sound came about. Genesis is written by the whole band, and again, how the credits as the Holder Lee axis of songwriting hadn't quite developed yet. Everybody Next One and Knocking Nails Into My House is a cover. Roach Daddy is not, and Ain't Got No Heart is a cover of a Frank Zappa tune. Let that sink in a little bit. Think about how many of us know Slade. Many of you might know Slade. The fact that when they started, they were covering songs by Frank Zappa. Not an easy thing to do. But it works really well. Pity the Mother is Holder Lee. And the other side is Mad Dog Cole, which is that band as well. And we've got Justin Hayward's Fly Me High. And If the World Were Mine, I think that by Marvin Gaye. Martha My Dear, Lennon McCartney. And then Born to Be Wild, of course, which became one of their landmark cover songs. And they made it their own by the time we got to Slade Live. And then probably the only time you could imagine, or could you even imagine, that Slade would at some point would have covered a Ted Nugent song. And it's Journey to the Centre of Your Mind, which is obviously Ted Nugent and Boy Dukes. And it's a great cover version. You'll know it even if you think you don't. The other thing that I really like about this album is that Jim Lee's first instrument, he was a violinist. And he's only 18, I think, on this. And I think he was part of the National Youth Orchestra where he played, violin. And there are two songs on here. There's one on the end of side one and on side two where the violin is featured. And it's beautiful playing. I know he played violin in various aspects of Slade, but there's a different feel to the way he plays violin and the way it's recording on this album than he is on any of the later Slade stuff. And I think there's so much variety on this record that if you bought the others, or you're just getting into Slade, it shouldn't be dismissed as like, it's the beginning, they weren't properly called Slade or whatever. It's an integral part of the story. And in fact, because there's so many kind of nuggets of pure joy hiding in the grooves, I think you'll find yourself playing it quite a lot. I've played it a lot already, and I'm really, really pleased to have it as part of my Slade collection. The next one, which I'll just trunter on as I move towards it, is a different kettle of fish altogether. Because it is Slade Alive. Now, this album, it's great to have it on vinyl. It was obviously part of the Slade box set, which I've reviewed, and again, you'll find this on the channel. And I did criticise this a little bit, saying that where was Slade Alive 2, and the booklet didn't really give any recording information on who did what or anything. It could have been better. And for the vinyl version of this, and it's good, it's fantastic that BMG have released this on vinyl. It's never happened before, but what they've done is they've basically duplicated the way the CD was done, and the inner sleeve of the crowd, and that fantastic picture of Dave Hill on top of the speaker cabinets is fantastic, and that is taken from the inside of the booklet there of the CD pack. And the album itself is also on Splatter vinyl, as you can see. Now, though most of you watching this video know all of this, you know what it sounds like. So it's always been a bit bootleg quality to me. It's recorded at Reading. Most recordings at Reading at that period sound like this. And so it is a bit kind of rough and ready around the edges. But the performance is amazing. And on vinyl it sounds very much like the CD. The other thing that's interesting is, just like the CD set, there is nothing in here to say who produced it, who mixed it, who remastered it, who did anything to it. Apart from saying BMG would like to thank Slade for all their power and the management, project management, etc., photography, art direction. There is nothing about the actual sound recording at all mentioned on the CD or this vinyl set. Now, its importance in the Slade canon is immense, and I was there. Somewhere in this picture is me. Now, I was at Reading in 1980. 3 days of heavy metal, basically. It's basically what it was, which to a metalhead like I was back then, what could go wrong? How could I not enjoy every single moment of that? You'd be surprised, actually, which is why as we get older we kind of like so many different things. I think we knew that Ozzy Osbourne was supposed to be coming on for the debut of the Blizzard of Ozzy's, for his new band after, being pushed out of Black Sabbath. But it was just literally heavy metal. Rory Gallagher was on. He was different, obviously. But it was band after band coming on and telling you to go crazy, put your hands together, and jump up and shout and all the rest of it. Which is good when you've gone out to see a gig and that's the support band and the main act. But when it's like 6 bands in, 8 bands in, 15th band in, 20th band in, you start to wane. They all sound the same, which is probably unfair. But on the Sunday, news went round that Ozzy had pulled out, and there was going to be another band was going to be mentioned. And again, this is through the haze of like cheap lager and terrible kebabs, okay? But obviously Ozzy wasn't going to be headlining, and everyone else was pushed up the list. But they were going to put a band in the middle of the afternoon to kind of pad it out, and that band was Slade. Now, hearing that Slade were going to be coming on was kind of odd, because Slade had faded. Now, some of you might say, well, no, they never faded. They did. By this point, they were gone. They just started to disappear in the mid-70s, and by this point, they were a memory. Their albums were out of print. You couldn't buy a Slade album if you wanted to. There was nothing. And Slade were coming on. And so it was kind of curious, like, I don't know what they'll be like. And when they arrived, they were a revelation. It was like the cover's been taken off your speakers. It was like as if everything had been reset. All the amps, the whole day, the whole weekend had been reset and restarted with a fresh look. Everything was alive and not tired anymore. Noddy Holder, with his Midlands accent. It was just, they just took the stage. They were born to do this. They might have faded into the background, but within their hearts, they were just born to be in front of a large audience, and they just rose to it. Track after track, take me back home. Of course, because whereas other bands were saying this is off our new album, but I don't really know this, or I haven't really got anything by them. Slade's advantage was that at that point in 1980, nearly everyone in that field knew the songs. They grew up with the songs. They hadn't heard them for a long time, but they knew the songs. And so, Take Me Back Home, When I'm Down Start Fighting, might have been one you didn't know. But it just, the way that, Noddy sings it was just perfect. Wheels Ain't Coming Down, the medley, You Never Walk Alone. What other band could get away with singing a football chant? Only Slade, whose audience almost was like a football audience. Mama All Crazy Now, of course, Get Down and Get With It. And they even did Merry Christmas Everybody, where the crowd sang it at August bank holiday weekend in the blazing sunshine, sang a Christmas song. Who else could do that? Nobody. Then Come On, Feel the Noise, and of course, what else would you end with? But it had to be Born to Be Wild. Now this small, tiny, 30-odd minute gig relaunched Slade into the 80s for a second bite of the apple. Now, if this was 2023, this would be because there'd be TikTok videos going viral, it'd be on YouTube, it'd be on Instagram, it would be just shared everywhere, it'd be on all Facebook groups. This is 1980. There is none of that. This is word of mouth, and it's not. This isn't a festival with hundreds of thousands of people. It's tens of thousands of people. But all those people from Reading went home and told everyone that the best band that weekend was Slade, that Slade had come back, and it appeared in the music press. The music press. So it was people telling each other, "You should have seen Slade. Slade were amazing." They quickly got out Slade at Reading EP, and then of course they got a record deal even with RCA Records, and they were up and running, and they were back. So it is a very, very important part of the Slade story. For anyone coming in very new, because obviously I've got a lot of emotional baggage with this because I was there. So, but it is a rough and ready thing. It's far, far from a bootleg. I'd have mentioned that when I did the CD review. But it is, it's a bit kind of, there's a bit distortion here and there, and it's kind of like a bit unbalanced in the mix and stuff. But it is what it is. It was a riotous gig, full of all these people literally being woken up. It's amazing, isn't it? You have day-to-day, wall-to-wall heavy metal, morning, afternoon and night, and you can still feel tired. And then Slade came on, and it woke everybody up. They were just perfect. So it's great. But again, there's a mystery behind how the recording itself and who's, the tapes and how it's being put together. But that's just the same as it was on the live of the box set. But that is out now with beginnings and the comeback album. In fact, it's very. I wonder if anyone thought of that. But it almost like this is like two beginnings. This is the beginning of the band, and this was the beginning of the second part of the band's, success story. So that's highly recommended. 2 Slade albums out on Splatter vinyl. I hope they keep going with this series because there's so many people out there who know that Slade isn't just for Christmas, and check out that Facebook page if you haven't already. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Remember, music is the doctor and the healer. Become a patron. Subscribe. Ring that little bell. Make sure you don't miss out any future videos that I do. And check out the website at naspinning.co.uk. Take care, everybody, and I shall see you on my next video.